SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first, then you act.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back, Spartan Nation. Again, Spartan Nation now presented by Sports Illustrated, and we're glad to be on the air with Spartan Nation senior writer, the great John Schott, now a contributor to Sports Illustrated. John, you've done a lot in your career, successful attorney, television, you've been a Spartan Nation senior writer, but to now be able to add to your byline, Sports Illustrated presenting Spartan Nation, that's quite a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah. That was an absolute highlight, and it's a great testament to all the folks doing the work at Spartan Nation, doing it for quite a while now, and it's fantastic to be aligned with Sports Illustrated because that is such a name. When you're talking about sports media, it still carries an enormous amount of clout, so it's a fantastic time to be doing this thing.
Now, for people that don't know, John joins us each and every week through the college football season. He picks the 6 most interesting games. Sometimes there's more. We call it an extra point. We keep track of the ones we disagree on. So whoever wins a week, like let's say he beats me 4-1, he doesn't get 3 points or 4 points. It's just 1 point for the week. Last week we tied, so this week's worth 2. But on the year, John, I'm up 1. So, John, fire away. What are this week's most interesting games that you've picked?
It is a good week, and there is no doubt we had too many. We had to back some off, and then I had one that I had to add just because of the interest level across the sport. Crazy week last week. A lot of weeks are crazy, including the late ending and collapse, bad loss, face plant by the Washington Huskies down on the farm. Their head coach, Chris Peterson, thought they were in trouble during the week. Boy, were they, as Washington basically ends their season and crashes the car at Stanford. This week, they go to Arizona. Will they be able to get up for that one? Or will the Arizona team, led by Kevin Sumlin, will they keep this thing going and quietly, I think, get to 5-1? Washington at Arizona late Saturday night.
Boy, John, to me, this is a great game. I was hoping that you'd pick them. To me, I'm going to go with Washington because I just think they're better. I don't think Arizona has the weapons. Now, let me say this. Had Washington won on the farm, I was probably going to go with Arizona. But because of Washington losing, I'm going to go with the Huskies.
Wow, that's interesting. I think Washington wins just because the roster is too deep and Arizona has got to have too many holes. And also, I think Arizona's maybe not willing to try stuff. But I'm giving a huge benefit of the doubt here to Chris Peterson. This is a big week for him there in Washington and a big week for what they want to get done as the Washington Huskies. It is also an interesting week in another part of that state of Arizona. Styles makes fight. Let's do it. Washington State and passing the ball around, defensive coordinator to be named later, if you will, at Arizona State and the very professional coaching staff of Herm Edwards. I like the Sun Devils in this one.
Boy, to me, John, I was just thinking about this one today when I was reviewing all of it and just checking. You know, I absolutely love Arizona State's coaching staff. But I'm going to tell you something. In that heat, it isn't going to matter because I originally thought it would because it's a 3:30 game Eastern time, which shocked me a little bit. I wrote that in my notes hoping you would pick this one. So it's technically a 12:30 game. I'm going to go with Arizona State here, but man, I want the Fighting Leeches to get a win here. I am just on the bubble. In fact, when I looked at this game, I said I'm going to pick the home team. Then when I looked and saw it, I picked Arizona State. Sorry about that. I didn't want to agree with you, but I'm going to take the home team.
Well, I think Washington State goes one of two ways from here. They either react to what their coaches laid out publicly, or they really literally shut it down. And now they got a defensive coordinator that's left also. So I don't know which is going to be the case, but I can't wait to see that one because it's such a great clash in styles. Also, to round out the Pac-10 version of this week's Big Six, What about the Colorado Buffaloes going to the high-flying, for now, Oregon Ducks? Colorado at Oregon.
I love what Cristobal is doing. I think they are going to crush Colorado.
Really? Well, that would be a momentum builder and a momentum carrier right there for Oregon. I don't think they got enough out of that last week. I'm going to take Colorado with the humbling upset because I don't think Oregon is quite that far yet.
No, John, I'm stunned. I want to make sure here. I don't want to cheat you. You're picking Colorado.
I am. This
All right.
is not your older brother or your cousin's Oregon Ducks. These Ducks are set to be humbled. Colorado is going to be ready to do that on the road this week.
All right, let's go.
And let's talk about we got some heavy hitters here. Before we get to those, most interesting game in the Big Ten this week is in the West. The Nebraska Cornhuskers are going to Goldie Gopher, who's sitting there undefeated. Nebraska at Minnesota.
John, only because Adrian Martinez is banged up, I'm going to give this to Minnesota. Man. All right, John, I'm going to take Nebraska. I just don't think Minnesota's going to win it. I haven't seen enough out of them, and I believe in Frost. I'm taking Minnesota.
The last time Nebraska football finished the season with 3 wins or less was 2003 or 4. I looked at it earlier today. I was stunned how long ago that was. Kids today have no knowledge of Nebraska, but anything of a 4-loss team at best. No way, Jose. Rolling with the boat rollers of Minnesota. Give me Minnesota at home doing the deal.
Now,
the Red River Shootout is next. The Red River Shootout is a game that features some offense, some scoring from time to time. Texas is way overrated to me. This isn't close. I like Oklahoma by a lot more than the last couple Red Rivers have been.
I agree with you. I'm stunned at how well Jalen Hurts is playing.
He is really something else. And did you have something to add on the Minnesota-Nebraska before we got out of there?
No, I said to you, I hope you're right, because I really want PJ to do good. But I love Nebraska, and I just really believe in Scott Frost.
Well, that's going to be an interesting one. I got a feeling that game's going to be closer than the Red River Shootout. I just don't see any way Texas is going to have any chance to stop.
To me, the Red River Shootout this year should be named the Red River Bloodbath.
These 2 games left are not going to be bloodbaths. This is the kind of game that Iowa can win and historically has won and has been a part of. Penn State is going to go into a fantastic environment this week at Kinnick. Penn State at Iowa.
Penn State rolls them.
Penn State rolls them, he says. Too many athletes and too many positions for Iowa to handle. Iowa had their chance last week. They did what Iowa usually does. I like Penn State also. But I don't know about the last one and the game of the week in the Southeastern Conference. Gators at Bayou Bengal Tigers. Florida at LSU.
John, call me a fool. You wouldn't be the first person. I don't think it's close. I literally have watched every game of LSU. I think they are going to utterly destroy Florida. I mean, I don't think the game is even going to be. I mean, I'm talking double digits.
Yeah, I got to like LSU too. You know, Florida's done a good job given the situation they have with their quarterback. I got a chance to watch the 24/7 show on Florida, which was good to see. You see the issues they have there when Felipe Franks goes out and has to have a surgery. That catches up with Florida this week. Florida is going to get mowed down by really the team, probably along with Ohio State, that's playing best right now. That is LSU. And that is easily the 7 most interesting games of the week. That is the Pick 6.
John, it's time now for the state of Michigan State football. Before I do, I want to get your prediction for Saturday, Michigan State and Wisconsin.
Well, if Michigan State can play better, and I will give credit, they raised their game last week probably a little bit more than I expected, especially early on. They're going to have to do the same thing this week. If they do, they got a chance to at least stay with Wisconsin. And if they can, then they've got a chance to win. Wisconsin is built to run from the front, as we know, and if they get up front, they're going to run everybody right out of the barn. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be something like 33 for Wisconsin and 18 for Michigan State. 33-18, an odd score for a little bit of an odd game.
All right, so John, now let's talk about the state of the Michigan State Spartan football program. I think this is a big question for you. Going into last week, Mark D'Antonio said that the Ohio State game was a measuring stick. If Mark was accurate, and it was, then I think the next two games are the truth-telling sticks. Because Mark D'Antonio said when he first got to MSU that he expected them to compete every year for Big Ten titles. If they lose the next two, that means they're 4-4, and it means they're not even anywhere into contention. He kept the same staff after several years of going backwards in production. Yards are up this year. Points are not. Guys are still making the same mistakes that they have in the past. To me, these next two games are massive for Mark D'Antonio. Not saying he should be fired if he loses them all. I'm not saying he's not the greatest winner in Spartan football history. He is. But the luster of his legacy, we've talked about it since this summer, is on the line. Where am I wrong?
No, I think you're pretty much right in there. The interesting thing, a couple things, when you just look at some basics, what we saw last week was a great example of when attrition finally catches up to you. It's not that Michigan State lost basically its 2016 class for a variety of wild reasons that are a lot bigger than football in a lot of cases. It's that they lost really high quality football players and high level recruits. It's very rare that something like that would happen all at the same place and all go south so badly. And it showed up. It showed up big time at the point of attack. It showed up where the game was really separated, where Ohio State separated. So I think you finally saw, and it's not just that class of 16, it's the trickle down to a couple receivers lost and maybe a couple other position players lost. You saw that catch up. Secondly, as was greatly explained on fantastic nightcap that Chris Ballard puts up now with Kirk Herbstreit late at night on Instagram. Herbstreit said basically, if you can't run block, it doesn't matter what scheme you're in, you're not going to be able to run the ball and you're going to have problems. And that's a position that Michigan State football is in. And for whatever reason, it's not necessarily the quarterback play, or it's not necessarily 100% the line play or the receiver or whatever it is. The offense just isn't producing enough points. And when I saw Saturday, at the time, I didn't think it was that big a deal that Lewerke overthrew or yipped that ball that would have been a touchdown, because I thought, hey, just keep playing. It turned out that was one Michigan State needed to have to stay in the game that much longer, and really needed to have to give them a boost. So how do they get off the mat after realizing, measuring stick-wise, we are not there? We don't have quite the top-level horses that other people have, and this is a problem. Well, this week, Wisconsin, I think, plays more into Michigan State's favor as a matchup via offense on Wisconsin versus the Spartan defense. I think it's easier for them to stop a downhill runner. Not saying they're going to, but it's going to be easier than what they saw last week. But this next two games, as you said, they're really going to set up whatever the future is for Mark D'Antonio. They've got to split these two games. They get, of course, a bye week before Penn State. But if they're going to have any chance of contending for the East, they got to win both of these games. That would be a pretty big turnaround. I think it's slightly possible if they continue to raise their level of play. But if they get run out of Camp Randall on Saturday, look out. I think the bottom is about to fall out.
So, John, what is the state of Michigan State football right now? At 4-2, the average fan would say, it's no big deal, we lost to Ohio State. I think they are they are teetering here on the wheels coming off. People can say I'm being too critical, but John, you said it, and a bunch of other media and administrators said it, and donors. They had to get to 9 wins in the regular season this year for it to be a success. If they lose the next two, they're not going to get to 9.
No. Yeah, and this is the thing. We're evaluating, criticizing, comparing Spartan football. at a much bigger and higher level than we ever were when Mark D'Antonio stepped on campus in 2006. That's 100% credit to him. We're evaluating Spartan football against all the other teams that are competing for the college football playoff and competing to win their conference championship. You look at the list, there's not many programs that have done that and have made a college football playoff. And for God's sake, how great is this Ohio State game been? 2013, Michigan State knocks Ohio State out of the national title game. 2014, Ohio State knocks Michigan State out of the playoff. 15, back to Spartans, knock the Buckeyes out and get to the playoff. So we're talking about this at the highest level. That's the level Ohio State, Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan are trying to compete at. Some of those are right there. Some of them are trying to knock on the door. You have such a fantastic defense. And when you saw that defensive line, and everybody across the country saw that defensive line, more than a few thought to themselves, wow, if Michigan State could make their defensive line that good, what if they made their offensive line that good? Well, if they did that, then they would be an absolute college football playoff contender every single year. And the offense is the number one thing that has dragged this program down from competing for a playoff spot every year. I don't understand exactly how it happened. It's ironic that they're playing Wisconsin this week, because going into that Wisconsin game in 2016, Hondo, do you remember where everything was at that time? The Spartans are coming off a playoff, coming off Big Ten title, coming off a big win with a little bit of a scare again at Notre Dame, with nothing but intentions of competing for conference title that year and more. And all of a sudden, we got the first earthquake that something was not going in the right direction for Michigan State football. But for and other than a great stretch run there at the end of 17 where it looked like the offense had suddenly been awoken, they've suddenly woke up in a very fine 2017 season.
It's what?
This thing is treading water now. In the next 2 weeks on the schedule could be a very rude awakening for what is the current state of Michigan State football.
John, one of our listeners, Timothy in Cadillac, Michigan, sent me a note after Les Miles, 6 games into the season, fired his offensive coordinator. He said, this is the stuff you and John have been talking about on the radio show. Could you guys talk about it next time he's on and when you go around the state of MSU? Your thoughts?
Well, this really started with Brett Bielema, who is a guy that made a change to the offensive line coach position at Wisconsin, which is kind of the biggest and most important position coach at that school. Almost 6 or 7 years ago, I think. And he did that during the season in the early part of the season. It caught everybody's attention. And he kind of said, hey, for what we're playing for, this is a change of thought that had to be made, and on we go. I'm not surprised that Les Miles did it. It makes sense that he's done it early on in his tenure there. But what about Michigan State? Folks, I don't think it can be any more obvious that they're not going to make that kind of a change as long as Mark D'Antonio is the head football coach at Michigan State. Some people took what he did last year to be an indication that he's about to hang it up and retire. Some took it as an indication that, man, I guess that's just a whole lot of complacency there. But nobody took it as an indication that things are about to get turned around and go better. And some people, especially on a national level, use that point at, that's why Michigan State won't get back to the title. That's why they won't get back to the college football playoff. What in the world was that? That's what it looks like right now. And if the season goes through the floor, I think the head coach has already resigned himself to be able to accept any criticism that comes with it. I think if they lose every single game left on the schedule, he's going to be okay with whatever heat comes his way. Is that right or wrong? I don't know. It's not really for me to decide. The fans, the donors, the ticket holders, those folks will decide. But this thing is definitely, one thing is definitely true. Nobody has ever done this shuffle like this, quite like this before. And I don't think, based on the results so far, anybody's going to be doing that to their staff after this season.
Totally agree. He's the great Spartan Nation senior writer. We love him. You love him. Everybody loves him. Follow him on Twitter at JP Spartan. The one and the only, the great John Schaub, talking about the state of Michigan State football. State of Michigan State football. State of Michigan State